Waking up today was a very, very strange experience because I woke up today and I could swear that I thought it was 2017 again, because I woke up today to seeing Lavar Ball on Undisputed, which, by the way, if you haven't seen it yet, please do your best to go and see Lavar Ball return to television, because it was by far one of the most captivating appearances I've seen in quite some time. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually missed the guy. Okay, but here's the strange thing. When Lavar Ball was on Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, which, by the way, Lavar Ball and Skip Bayless, or Lavar Ball and Stephen A. Smith, always make for great television. I promise you, I'm not being paid to say this. But when he was on Undisputed, he said some crazy stuff, as he typically does. Stuff like,
Gelo's always been the best scorer everywhere he goes. And I'm telling folks this, when he get in the NBA, within 3 years, I guarantee he's a scoring champ.
Stuff like,
they're not gonna get their man body till they like 22, 23. And that's because of their mom. Just she's Caucasian and we black.
Oh, I got it.
Here's the interesting thing. On this very day, LiAngelo Ball also got some news. And I don't know if these two are connected, but I don't know what team it is, by the way. But LiAngelo Ball is to be offered a G League contract. Now, all we know about LiAngelo is thus far, up until this point, he was playing for the OKC Thunder's G League affiliate, the OKC Blue. And, well, I'm going to be honest, in the past, I was a little bit biased towards LiAngelo. I always just thought of him as, the bad ball brother, the ball brother that isn't going to make it to the NBA. But LiAngelo's story is a little bit more tragic than that, and I figured it's time that we actually talk about how good LiAngelo Ball could be in the NBA, or whether there's an actual role that could be carved out for him in the NBA. Because you see, the misconception about LiAngelo is, and this is the conception I had about him for the past 2 years, but also I also had some preconceived notions about LaMelo prior to this year as well. For example, LaMelo, the last time I really paid attention to him before this year, before he was taken seriously as a draft prospect, I didn't really see him as a player that would even make it to the first round of the NBA draft. If he did, he'd be a late first round prospect, but that's because I envisioned him as this tiny 6'1" guard that, just loved to chuck up shots. But of course, in 2 years, LaMelo Ball ended up growing to 6'7" or 6'8". Obviously, the media is going to tell you he's taller than he actually is. Some people think he's 6'6". Some people think he's 6'7". Some people think he's 6'8". And now he's without a doubt a top 3 pick in this year's NBA draft, if not a top 5 pick. Which, by the way, my mock draft is going to be out this weekend, guys. I'm just about done completing it, so be on the lookouts for that. But the interesting thing about LiAngelo is he didn't have the captivating handles that LaMelo had, and he didn't have the playmaking ability and basketball IQ that Lonzo had. As a matter of fact, if you go back and watch his tape on Chino Hills, LiAngelo seemed to be a very awkward player, because on one hand, he's 6'5". On the other hand, he has a build of a center. He's able to shoot at a ridiculously high rate and a great clip, and could score in bunches, although most of his scoring is done on catch and shoot attempts. But here's the thing that just shocked me the most. He, without a doubt, has the best looking jump shot out of every ball brother, at least for this stage of his career. And the question that you might be asking is, okay, he's a 6'5" player with an awkward frame. He could catch and shoot. Why aren't NBA teams looking at him? Well, there is a combination of things as to why LiAngelo has struggled this far to make a name for himself, or a living for himself in the NBA, just like his brothers. For one, his measurables right off the bat would just make you completely ignore him. Coming out of high school, LiAngelo Ball looked like this very overrated 6'5" player that, again, had an awkward body. But when he went to UCLA, his body looked significantly better. As a matter of fact, he put on some muscle, he looked leaner, he looked way quicker, and he seemed like he's slowly transitioning into a situation where he actually could be a guard in the NBA. In fact, it seemed as if he continued on this path, he would be able to not only make it to the NBA, but I would have thought he would have been a first-round pick, because Again, 6'5", has a lean frame, has a quick shot release. His only issue in Chino Hills was he wasn't really the best at taking players off the dribble, but that's because he really didn't have to. He had his brothers to do that. But during some games at UCLA, he began to show the ability to even take defenders off the dribble, and although he was a reserve for the UCLA Bruins, I thought that without a doubt, if he continued his strong play there, that, combined with his father's incredible ability to grab media headlines, LiAngelo Ball would definitely have a place in the NBA. But unfortunately, that didn't happen, and unfortunately, when you're young, you do stupid things, and we all know what would happen to LiAngelo next. He would get caught for a shoplifting incident in China, shoplifting from a Louis Vuitton store during his time in Shanghai. And guys, you have to bear in mind, whenever you get arrested in Shanghai, China, that's like a formality. You're definitely going to jail. If it wasn't for Donald Trump intervening, we could have seen LiAngelo Ball in bars up until this point. In order to make a PR disaster look better, UCLA opted to suspend LiAngelo Ball and the other two players that were caught in the Shanghai shoplifting incident indefinitely. Now, unfortunately for LiAngelo Ball, what he should have done and what he ended up doing were two different things. Lavar Ball decided to act impulsively and pull out his son from UCLA. Now, the reason why this perplexed me is, what are you supposed to do when you're a organization such as UCLA? 3 of your players for your basketball team got caught shoplifting, and the president of the United States had to intervene in order to get him exonerated. Of course, you're going to suspend the players indefinitely because that punishment seems like a crazy punishment until the heat dies down from the story. Had LiAngelo Ball just stayed where he was, maybe worked on his game a little bit more, and then came back the year after, he could potentially have been in a different situation that he was in now. But instead, his dad, Lavar, announced on December 4th that he was going to pull LiAngelo Ball out of UCLA, and LaMelo Ball was subsequently not going to play for UCLA and decided to strike a deal with Lithuania to have his sons play in Lithuania instead. During his time in Lithuania, LiAngelo Ball performed, well, okay, decently. He averaged about 12.6 points per game, 2.7 rebounds per game, and shot 42% from 3. But you have to understand, LiAngelo wasn't really drawing a lot of awareness before. He was a 3-star prospect coming out of high school, so subsequently, no one was really going to care about what LiAngelo was doing in Lithuania. His opportunity to get onto the NBA scouts' radar dissipated as soon as he left UCLA. No NBA teams were going to send scouts all the way to Lithuania to scout a player that came out of high school as a 3-star recruit. So this brings us to where we are right now. LiAngelo Ball wasn't able to impress the Los Angeles Lakers in his 2018 NBA draft workout. Eventually, LiAngelo Ball would sign with the JBA in the summer of 2018, which was a league founded by Lavar Ball, which has the same vision as the XFL. Lavar wanted this league to be an alternative for high school players to get paid to play basketball prior to going to the NBA as opposed to going to the NCAA. And again, you have to understand, there wasn't really the greatest competition there, but LiAngelo Ball completely dominated in that league. As a matter of fact, he averaged a league-high 51.8 points and 12 rebounds per game. He was an all-star and one of the best players in the league, but again, he probably was the best player in a league that didn't feature such crazy stars. LiAngelo Ball didn't get as much awareness because of the situations that he played in. No one was going to scout him in the JBA. He wasn't playing against the greatest competition. No one was going to scout him when he was in Lithuania. And not only that, but Lithuania didn't really put him in the best position to succeed because the schemes that they run there are significantly different than an NBA offense or an NCAA offense for that matter. Following the JBA, he decided to sign with the OKC Blue of the G League as a practice squad player. Now, call me crazy. You're like 2 people if you're watching this video. You're one of 2 people. You're either someone that believes that LiAngelo Ball could have a successful NBA career, or you're someone that doesn't. Now, if you ask me, based off of what I'm seeing, LiAngelo Ball actually offers a package that NBA teams are looking for. He could become the prototypical 3-and-D prospect, especially if what Lavar is saying about his height is true. According to Lavar Ball, LiAngelo is currently 6'7". I don't know how true that is, but if he is a 6'7" guard with a quick release that could slide into the small forward position, that has an NBA body that could play defense, definitely has a role in the NBA. I could literally see this guy playing for the Houston Rockets. Literally. I could see him playing as a player that literally spots up and tries to hit open threes. And that's what he was destined to do. That's what he's been doing since he was in Chino Hills. If you ask me, I do think there's a place for LiAngelo in the NBA, so long as Lavar doesn't continue to mess up his career by micromanaging his career. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think? I'm your boy, TheFlightMike, and I'll catch you guys in the next upload. You guys in the next